So Derby Day weekend is upon us. Manchester United will face the noisy neighbours Manchester City in the first clash of this season. Francis here, of course, from TYT Sports, back on Full-Time Devils. Let's talk some tactics. So this is how I imagine Manchester United to line up straight away. So, of course, Valencia was in during the Champions League clash, but I do expect Darmian to make a return. I personally don't feel comfortable with Valencia up against the likes of Sterling or De Bruyne, depending who will take him on that side. Jones and Smalling, I imagine, will continue their partnership, and Rojo at left-back. Schweinsteiger, Schneiderlin and Herrera are going to be essential in this game. That trifecta in the centre of the park. Mata, I imagine, will come back after being rested. Martial will continue to play on the left, I feel. He has done a great job so far, I think, still adding goals in there as well, and then Wayne Rooney up top. So, before I get into what Manchester United should be doing from an attacking standpoint against Manchester City, we have to highlight a few things first about the noisy neighbours, and that is, without Sergio Aguero, without David Silva, don't take that to mean anything, because they are very dangerous going forward. 5-1 win, 6-1 win, and then scraping through that victory against Sevilla. What comes to mind? And it's simple, it's Kevin De Bruyne. Now, what I want to talk about, first of all, from a tactical standpoint, it shouldn't even need an iPad here to talk about. What you see from Kevin De Bruyne when he gets into this area, cuts inside. Simple foot. He drives at his opponent, cuts inside, left foot or right foot. Now, what he has been doing recently, because of the likes of Yaya Toure, is he's getting a lot more space in here, because Toure, at the moment, is playing higher up. So imagine this is Wilfried Bony pushing right onto Smalling. What Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin are going to have to do in this game is understand who's picking up Yaya Toure and whether his run is just to try and deflect, whether it's just a run to take concentration away from De Bruyne and allow him to cut inside. So what I imagine will happen is Schweinsteiger will take that role of sitting a little deeper and providing that cover, and then Schneiderlin will take up the role of tracking Yaya Toure, because what was done against Sevilla in the second half is, now that they don't have Aguero in there or David Silva, they've been pushing Yaya Toure up a little bit, and then that will allow for Fernando or Fernandinho, both of those guys, to take up that defensive role. So then what Yaya Toure does is he does this running behind, and he tries to drag the midfielder away. And what does this do? Creates all this space for De Bruyne. It sounds so simple, but it continues to happen time and time again. De Bruyne, show him the line. What Manchester United need to do is have that established partnership. Schweinsteiger should just be the covering defensive midfielder. Covering across this side, if De Bruyne happens to be on this side, or Sterling, he just needs to provide that cover in there so the fullback can show him out wide. Both of these wingers need to be shown out wide. Sterling is deadly, of course, to take him down the line, but he is still very effective when he cuts inside onto his right foot. Similar to De Bruyne, that's the only real defensive lapse in concentration that I fear, is when you put Darmian and Rojo in there. They can't be left isolated one-on-one. Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin need to do a great job of establishing who will cover inside to make sure that it's a difficult opportunity, and he's not just getting a free lane like he did against Sevilla. So that's what I think defensively. It's short, it's sweet. I think that without Aguero, the Manchester City are a little harder to mark, because with Aguero, you know that he's going to push higher up. Yaya Toure is going to take that defensive midfielder position, and David Silva is going to be the playmaker. But now, without Aguero, they're all taking up the role. They're all interchanging. De Bruyne somehow starts on the right, and he's going to end up over the left-hand side cutting in. They're so free and interchanging, but that's where Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin, I feel, should be partnering in the midfield to try and emulate that performance against Everton and track and make sure that he doesn't have a free run to cut inside and get onto that left or right foot. So from an attacking standpoint, what does this adjustment in Manchester City's team do? It leaves them exposed in the wide areas. And what did Sevilla do? They exposed this area. I talked about it way back when I talked about Southampton. Weak side attacking. So with Zabaleta playing at right back and Sagna in the last game playing at left back, he's a right-footed left back, so automatically you want to take him down the line because he's not comfortable going down there. If they play Kolarov, that's great as well, because he doesn't track runners as well. And I think that he's not got that established partnership. If you go back against Tottenham, their first goal came from Sterling and Kolarov not being on the same page and that overlapping run. So Darmian and Rojo, not as much with Rojo, but this is why I want to play Darmian, because I want to push him forward. Similar to what Manchester United did against Everton and isolating Galloway, they have to isolate Manchester City's right side, whether it is Sagna or Kolarov. I think that is where the weakness is, and that's where Mangala doesn't cover. So what I imagine is with them pushing forward the likes of Sterling and De Bruyne to support Bony, who's not as competent up top, and Yaya Toure, it's going to leave all this space in this area. And that's where Manchester United need to be direct in their passing. I talked about this is what Manchester United did do against Everton, is cut out that direct passing lane. Manchester City, without Yaya Toure being that holding midfielder, don't have that same pressure. So what I see from Fernando and Fernandinho, which I'm hoping both of them start together, is they are both flat. So what Wayne Rooney needs to do is push the defence back and allow Herrera to pick up the ball in these direct areas and then feed it wide to the likes of Mata and the likes of Martial. And then that's where you need Darmian making that overlap and run. And that's when you need to start flooding the flanks. And it's a simple, effective movement. It's a quick switch into the area because Man City do shift across. They shift. It sounds like a lot of moving pieces, but it happens so fluent. And that's where you get the likes of Martial coming in at the back post. That's where you need to use his effectiveness on the left-hand side because not only is he a striker playing somewhat out of position, but he's still got that striker's instinct. You've seen it against Moscow through the week. He still had that instinct to get inside the box and attack the ball, and that's what Manchester United need to do. And it all comes down from them allowing to be comfortable, to absorb the pressure of the wide men and then hit them on the counter-attack. That's what it's going to happen because Manchester City pushing forward those wide men as De Bruyne and Sterling leaves that space in behind. And that's when you need to start overlapping the flanks and quickly whip the ball into the back post. And I think that in doing so, it's going to be a tough game nonetheless. But it really depends on whether Sagna or Kolarov is starting. I think that Zabaleta can be taken down the line as well. But whether it is Sagna, as I said, naturally right-footed, not as comfortable to be taken down the line, and that's where you need to throw the overlapping runs. If it is Valencia, he can still do this as well. But it's all about not being scared of Manchester City and attacking them in the wide areas to get the ball into the box. So those are a couple of my tactical points, I would say, ahead of this game. I still think that Manchester United are going to have a lot of work to do, but I'm confident that if they pull off these minor tactical adjustments, they can win this game. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section below. Come across to TYT Sports, check out more of our football coverage here. And as always, guys, thanks for having me on.
Manchester City at the weekend doesn't get much bigger than this in the Barclays Premier League. Let's start. We've got Gaz Jonathan and Squawker Dave on Skype with us.